Hello and welcome to the final part of my Def Leppard collection. This is going to be the final part, and it's going to just show the last few bits and pieces that I class as part of my collection. So yep, Bev, Clarko Vision, and let's get started. So the other miscellaneous DVDs and CDs that I have, I've shown in just last one was Conversationalize. This is the back-to-back CD issue of an old interview. Then I had, again, I took it out the case and just kept it in this. This is a DVD, an unauthorised, unofficial DVD, and it was known as Pyromaniacs. And it's kind of like interviews with the band, although it was made after Steve's death, so you don't actually get an interview with him, but they do talk about him throughout because it covers the band's career. So I've got that. I have also got this is official, this is both Historia and In the Round in Your Face, when it was issued on a DVD. They put the two on. I used to have the other one as well, which included Visualize and Video Archive, but I just copied the parts from Visualize that I wanted to keep, which was the Rocket video and the tribute to Steve and the footage from San Remo 88 when they played with Benny King, because Steve's on that. And everything after that was kind of, the new stuff, so I wasn't fussed for keeping that. And Video Archive, there wasn't anything on there that I didn't already have, so I got rid of that one and just kept Historia and In the Round in Your Face. I did keep the details of the track listing for these as well. I also have another official, the Hysteria Classic Albums release DVD, which came out from the Classic Albums series. So yeah, I again got rid of the case it was in, but I did keep the inner covers for the details. And this was the inside page with the details of the contents. That's a really good thing to watch. Again, obviously it was made after Steve, but Steve was a key person when it comes to Hysteria. Suki, out. Come on, out. Just Suki getting in the wrong place. Good girl. Yeah, Steve was involved in a big way in this album, and so for obvious reasons you need to have it. This is also the one where Joe Elliott famously states that Steve wrote little bits of the music and didn't really, he wasn't really one of the main contributors, which is the biggest load of crap ever, because Steve was the major songwriter during his time, that is a fact, and it was known right throughout the 80s. And that's one thing that angers me when newer fans come along and say, but blah 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 blah, Joe says this, but Joe also said in the 80s that Steve was the main songwriter. I've got the interviews to prove it. So I don't know why he says what he says on here, but it's just not correct. Moving on. This is called Def Leppard Up Close. Now this was a US radio show thing. It was done for broadcast on US radio, and it was a 2-disc set. And it basically is interviews with the band, and this is dated from 1989, disc 1 and 2, and it has adverts, American adverts, Budweiser, and who sponsored all this near perfect productions, etc. Media America Radio presents up here. So it's basically interviews with the band from that time. It's quite a difficult thing to get a hold of. But came across that one day. And is another one of these radio things. This one's just a single disc. This one is called In the Studio with Def Leppard, and this one's Bullet Productions, the album network, and it was to be aired the week of the 4th of February 1991. Because this had been recorded previous to Steve's death, and because he died in January 91, at the beginning of it they say a few words and they dedicate this to him on the CD. But again, it's kind of another kind of interview with the band about their career up to this point for US radio. So that's the other kind of CDs and DVDs that I have. I have this. Now I'm not going to unravel it at the moment because it's neatly rolled up, and this is the official Gibson Guitars poster from 1988. It features Steve, and there's a quote from Steve about him only ever playing Gibson guitars or something. And these were issued by Gibson in 1988 because Steve signed an endorsement with Gibson Guitars in the mid-80s. And these posters are pretty tricky to find as well, I must admit. I plan to maybe get this mounted and framed on the wall someday. If you do want to see what this poster looks like, you can go to steveclark.com and go to the photo galleries, and in the Hysteria tour gallery you should find it in there. Tour stuff. I have a high and dry laminated all access tour pass from 1981, unused, and I have tour programs. I have the High and Dry tour from 1981. That's the back. This is really difficult to find as well. That's the band. MCP presents Def Leppard, special guests Lionheart. So they were supporting them on this. This is the UK tour, and it's very cool to have pictures of the band, people us included obviously. It gives you a bit about the band's history so far in this early stage of their career. Great images there. And on the back, you've got a bit about Lionheart there, who were supporting the band, obviously. So yeah, but yeah, it's a brilliant souvenir to get a hold of if you're lucky enough to be able to find them. It took me a long time to get a hold of that. So that's Pyromania tour program coming. Sorry, that's High and Dry. This is Pyromania tour program. I managed to get two of these, both exactly the same, except one of them came with this this sheet. It's an original merchandise sheet from the time, which is pretty cool. And the Pyromania one, you have, you know, more pictures. There's your tour dates, pictures of the band. There's Steve there, obviously, and the supporting band at this point was Rock Goddess. So that's two of these. Hysteria 1987, this was the first UK leg of the tour, and I've got two of those. Again, it's another really smart tour program. The tour dates for 87 here. Some great pictures from Donington on here as well. At the back you've got, you know, the adverts for the album. More pictures, great shots from the tour. So And then Hysteria 88, European and UK tour. Again, I've got 2 of these as well. Pretty cool condition. You've got this triangle cut out window. You have the dates for the European tour here for 88. A bit of blurb about the band. And more live photos. This one opens out kind of funny shape like that. It's Rick Savage wearing his Sheffield Wednesday scarf. That's his football team. Yeah, so loads of pictures, and at the back you've got photos of the tour crew here, and the band, and on the back here you have another page advertising Animal Instinct, the brilliant Animal Instinct. So 2 of those. I have one from the USA tour, the US tour in 88, and it's pretty much the same, except obviously it has American dates. And at the back there are some slightly different images here. Instead of Animal Instinct, you've got just advertising for the albums and Historias on this one, so this is a little bit later on, so this is why this has been updated. So it's the same. And I've got Rock of Ages. Now this is obviously post Steve this, but I did learn that in it there is some classic photographs from the earlier years with, you know, Steve. So I thought, well, I've got to have that, you know, because it basically has my era in it. So yeah, I picked up that. And I believe as well the Mirror Ball tour programme has some pictures featuring the Clark era, so I'm on the lookout for a copy of that. So that's the tour programmes. And lastly, I just want to show you my books that I've got. So we're going to start with, what are we going to start with? These ones, I think. We'll start off with Leopard Tracks. That's the most recent book I've purchased, thanks to Vinylizer showing it, and it's very detailed information about everything related to Def Leppard that they've released, the tours, every minor detail. It's an unofficial book, but it's quite useful to have a copy of that. Then this one is from 1984, this book, illustrated biography, so this came out just after the Pyromania era. Quite an interesting and cool book to have. You know, so lots of Pyromania tour photos, and earlier from the beginning days. And some of the pages are falling out. Apart from that though, you know, it's still in good condition, just apart from the pages being loose here, so yeah, some cool pictures in there. It's just a nice one to have. The Holy Grail of Def Leppard books, this is it, Animal Instinct. I have 2 copies. Absolute must have. If you regard yourself as a Def Leppard fan, you must get this book and read it. It's some amazing stuff in it. It's a proper detailed history of the band right up to when Hysteria was being released, right up to 1987, and it's official. It is endorsed by the band. It's exclusive interviews with the band, you know, and it was all written by David Frick, who now works at Rolling Stone magazine, but this is the one to have. Then we've got a big photograph book, The Definitive Visual History by Ross Halfon. And this is a hardback, really good souvenir to have, but of course this was published fairly recently. you know, so it goes beyond the Clark era. But yeah, I was having it anyway because of the earlier stuff, you know, some great photos in here. So that's another good book. I'll just, yes, load that up. I have here quite a rare thing to get hold of. This is Armageddon, and it's actually sheet music published by Warner Chappell. It's not the guitar tab, it's actual sheet music for Armageddon from 1987. And I think Suki's obviously been licking herself, she's just been lying beside it. Stupid doggy. Anyway, that's fine. Then we have Hal Leonard guitar recorded versions of the Hysteria songs. This has got guitar tab in it as well. It's just got all the albums from Hysteria and a picture of the band there. Yeah, it has music and tab for all the songs. Then we have Guitar Schools. Again, this is a Hal Leonard publishing. These are usually pretty decent, the Hal Leonard ones. The Best of Def Leppard. It's got stuff from High and Dry, Hysteria, On Through the Night and Pyromania, which is basically the first four. And yeah, that is the Best of Def Leppard. Again, picture of the band, and again, you've got a bit of information. This one you have kind of bits where the tutor or the teacher is explaining parts about the songs as well. A little bit of information about each album as well, and you've got the music and the tab. This one is the same book, but this is the updated CD version, so there is an included CD to play along with, or backing tracks. Yep. It's got a dollar stamp on it, so I must have picked this up either when I was in America or had it bought from America, got it imported. I've had this for quite a while as well, so it's the same thing. Another couple of band scores. This one is Pyromania, but this is a Japanese issue. This is published by Nippon BMG Shinko Music Publishing. Again, the Japanese ones are excellent as well. They're pretty accurate for the most part, I think. You know, now getting a hold of these, they come up on eBay now and again, but they're not the cheapest thing to get a hold of. But the detail, you know, the detail inside is great. You've got, unfortunately, the text is in Japanese, but music being a universal language, you can still read the music, obviously. And you get in here, talk about detail, you know, I mean, the Japanese stuff, like everything, is amazing. You've got vocals, other, guitar 1, guitar 2, bass, drums, and in some of the songs you've got guitar 3 and 4, you know. I've seen Armageddon have guitar 3 and 4, etc. Because I have the Hysteria one as well. So, an excellent thing to have if you're into guitars, and I am into guitars, but I'm not that great at playing. And I've got the Hysteria one as well, so it's the same thing, the Japanese band score, fantastic stuff. I want to try and get the High and Dry one. There is one for High and Dry. I don't think there's one for On Through the Night, but I do want to try and get High and Dry, but High and Dry is extremely expensive, so that's the problem there. More books. I have Two Steps Ahead. This is by Dave Boer and Brian Dre. Again, it's just another book about Def Leppard. When was this one published? 1996, so this is quite an early one. This is up to sort of the back of Slang, I think, something like that, perhaps. So yeah, and it lists at the back some resources where it got lots of its information from. It's quite an interesting read. again, these books, this one, you know, they're unofficial. As I say, Animal Instinct is the only official Def Leppard book out there. You know, on Def Leppard. This is biographies, yeah, the Def Leppard story. This is a hardback edition. Dave Dixon is the guy in this one. And this was published, this is 1995, so this is a year before that other one. So this will go up to around about the same time. It does have some photos of the band as well. Talks about the history, the usual. It talks about Steve, obviously. And in more recent times, this is Phil Collins' official biography, Adrenalized. I wasn't overly excited about getting this, but I did want to get it because I knew he would be speaking about Steve at some point in it, because I regarded Steve as his best friend, and I wanted to know what he had to say about Steve. So that was basically the main reason for me buying that. And there's a couple of pictures in here where Steve's in them as well as in that bottom photo. So that's good to have. And then, oh, hang on, okay. Second last, Runway Runaway, a backstage pass to fashion, romance and rock and roll. This is a story this is her biography about her life. Lorelei Shellist is Steve Clark's former fiance. So she tells her story about her own life, and later on in the book about her times living with Steve, the difficulties he endured. She tried to help him, and yes, it did bring me to tears. This book, it was very hard for me to read, but I decided I wanted to know what she had to say, so I ordered a copy, and I ordered it direct from her website, and she very kindly dedicated it to Beverly, with blessings, love from Lorelei, in 2015. So it's a nice touch. I really appreciate that, and it opened my eyes up to a few things. That's for sure. So if you're interested enough, then you know this is worth getting as well. And the last book I've got is this one, Fabulist Icons. A fragment of rock and roll life by Mike Rogers. Now, Mike Rogers was Phil Collins' former guitar tech from about 1982 to 1987. He was with the band, so he was with them all through the Hysteria recording sessions. And this is his book about his musical journey in life. He starts off pre-Def Leppard. He got into music, got into bands himself, worked for other musicians, and then, you know, was picked up by Def Leppard, came along at the same time as Malvern Mortimer, who is Steve's guitar tech, and he goes into a lot of detail in here about his time with Def Leppard and the goings-on, and some of the stuff that happened during the Hysteria recording sessions. Fascinating, rare read, and there's some amazing pictures in here. From being a Def Leppard fan, you know, this is a great thing to have. That's Jim Steinman, their first producer when they started out working, and next to him is Una Rogers, who is the photographer responsible for a lot of the pictures in this book. And then you've got Steve, Sav, a couple of other folk, and Joe, I forget who they are. So yeah, but there was this is the first edition of this, and it came out, I don't know, about 3 or 4 years ago, and there was only 60 of these published. I was lucky enough to get one. But there is, if you still want to read this, again, you'll find the link on steveclarkguitar.com. If you go to the news section, there's a link that will take you to somewhere online where you can download an ebook of this. It's a text-only version, you won't get the pictures, but you can download it and read his story, and it's really good. It's really enjoyable. And that's it, thank God. Apart from, you can see over there, my latest Def Leppard acquisition, is the boxed set, the vinyl box set. They call it Volume 1, I call it the only volume, which is the first 4 albums, the Live LA Forum, the supposed rarities, which are not really rarities, and the book and the copy of the original EP. All remastered, on through the right hand dryer, remastered on there as well. I've shown that in another video, so I'm not going to show it here. And up on the wall in the background is a limited edition lithograph. It's called a lithograph, and there's an artist by the name of Echo, E-C-K-O. She did a number of these in the early 90s, and they are numbered from the Masters Gallery, and I ordered one of these, and it's a collage of Steve, and that's, yeah, you can see it up there on the wall. I've had it framed, etc., and the certificate of authenticity below. It's like so that's one of my holy grails, and I have another pencil portrait done by a professional artist of him as well, but that's not here, it's somewhere else at the moment. So that is my Def Leppard collection. I hope you enjoyed all that. I have other stuff, you know, I mean, magazine cuttings, photographs, random, but I have a couple of Steve's guitar picks as well, the ones with his signature on them. I've got a metal one, I used the metal one as well. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.